Hey, good evening. XBT Trading Bitcoin Futures here. We're going to recap today, Monday, excuse me, the May the 20th. As we look at the overnight and going into the regular trading session today, let's look at what we're looking at going into the overnight. Last night we had initial resistance at 82.35 to 8,300, which the day before and yesterday were a major bull bear zone for us, and that multiple time frames were aligning at this spot, and we wanted to see whether bulls or bears would move forward with this. Interestingly enough, right as the Globex session began, we gapped up right through that and our first resistance zone at 83.65 and 83.87, settled around a real tight 85.11, 85.18, VPOC among other things that sit there that is a tight spot for this. We would want to see if responsive sellers would step in here. But with that said, let's go ahead and see how the day played out with our support and resistance zones, as well as understanding that our range has been contracting slightly. As we mentioned, we had a huge gap up going into the Globex session that obviously wasn't tradable, up some 355 points, and that was pretty much the move for the day. Today would have been a good day, and last night to sleep, depending upon where you live, or go to the beach as summer is fast approaching. And with that said, positions to be taken for not today. Let's look at it real closely. The resistance zone that I mentioned of 85.11 to 85.18 here was certainly a sticking pin of almost of a mean contraction within perhaps 50 points either way all day. That was the magnet that we thought would stick around. Absolutely nothing in the overnight to excite us. Again, in between zones here is kind of like no man's land in tennis. You don't want to be there, or you don't want to make the play there, and that's kind of how it is here. You have somewhat of a double top with one candle in between. Not crazy enough to get excited about. If you wanted to take a short here because of the wicks and such, that's okay, but that would be up to you. So with that said, the overnight nil. Coming into the open of the regular CBOE trading session. Now, one could say that you could be interested in looking to short at the open based upon responsive sellers stepping in here. You have somewhat, and I'm not going to be a technical chart guy, but when you have this 45-degree trend line broken with a gap, okay, so once you had the gap down there, you were very often that will continue in the direction of the gap. So with that said, the one spot where you could possibly have got some activity would have been right off the bat today in the second 15-minute candle. You could have put on a position somewhere, let's put it there. The range of that second candle was a low of 85.10 and a high of 85.20. So very tight range. You jump in at either spot, take your own risk return ratio to set your stop somewhat above this. Probably come here above this last swing high in the Globex. 85.39-ish, and then look for a move down into the next resistance zone. So as such, it played out where we touched that zone of, I believe it got to 83.85. So one could take profits at this point or hold for a potential further move down. Now, the rest of it, again, we're looking here between somewhat, let's say 8,400, that's 100 points in that range. So we're well off our 300-point swing in our daily range average. So one might think that there would be more room to go to the downside. So with that said, holding a position, perhaps selling out a part of a position here, would be something to consider. As we turn out, we consolidate for the majority of the day, drop down into the zone and slightly below it, and then consolidate out. So our one real play for today was right off the bat, again with our second 15-minute candle, breaking that trend line down and gapping as such, and following it through down to the 83.85 zone would have given you, I'm going to say 3 to 4 to 1 off the top of my head. Again, consolidation was the theme today. We will see I'll be back with you all shortly with an updated trade plan for Tuesday the 21st, and we'll see how that's going to play out. Hope you all had a good trading day, and if you took a trade, great. If not, go to the beach.